Morning, everyone. My name is Brian Riley. I work with Centric Benefits Consulting. I'm going to be reviewing the employee benefits offered here at G&C Fabcon with you. I just wanted to make a point up front. This session will be recorded, so you don't have to scribble down too many notes. We're going to have this recording available to you on the HR Connection website. You'll see that information here, www.hrconnection.com. Username for everyone is G&C Fabcon with a capital G, a capital C, and a capital F. Same username and password for everyone, and again, it is case sensitive. With that, I'm going to pass the floor over to Matthew Smith.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to the team of people that are going to be here. Brian has already introduced himself. Brian's the Vice President of Centric Benefits Consulting. He's a great point person to go to. So if you have any particular questions that get into nitty-gritty situations that are not of the norm that either I or Linda can handle, definitely Brian is capable of not only handling it, but going well beyond our scope of knowledge between myself and Linda. So feel free. Also, Beth Ann Donald is his assistant at Centric, and she is the customer service representative for the company. I'd like to also introduce you today to Mitch Rucco of Aflac, and Rich basically is here today. Mitch is here today to answer any basic questions of Aflac. I think we've all seen the commercials on TV, and we appreciate those. Especially my son. He loves those commercials. And it's an open session today. So if there's particular basic questions that you want to deep dive a little bit more, you can ask. If it gets really into heavy particular situations, we'd rather have that taken offline with the individuals, whether it's Mitch or Brian or Linda and I. So that being said, I just want to go over a few things with our 2019 benefit open enrollment period. It did start on the 18th, and it will conclude on April 30th. Do keep in mind, April 30th is the cutoff. Close of business 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's get all these documents in or your selections in early so there's no last-minute type of delays. I just want to go over, as the email I sent out, we're happy to report this year that our average employee costs for insurance and so forth has only increased marginally compared to last year. And that has to do with, I give direct credit to Brian, came in with a very good package of offerings, and I'm very pleased with what was presented. Also, we're going to be adding to our cafeteria style of options, both Vision and Aflac. And I'm encouraged for everyone to consider not only the basic benefits, but to look closely at Vision. It's a good plan. And I think Aflac is another plan that, especially if you're a laborer, operator in the field, it's a great option to not only look at, but to acquire. Keep another thing in regards to this benefits open enrollment period, it's a time to make changes. So if you're going to make the change, this is the time to do it. And we can kind of go over all the details of that. What is your current health plan? Or if you're not in a health plan, you know, what would you need to do to get into the plan? Also, in regards to new employees, the standard option was basically when you started the company, it was a 90-day grace period or waiting period, as they say. However, ownership has decided to change that, meaning that instead of the 90-day waiting period, it's going to be a 30-day period starting the first day of the next month. So those who are new, this is something that it's a good thing that you can do it earlier. So please contact Linda or I if you have any questions on that. Other than that, I'd like to turn over to Brian He's going to kind of go over the basics of what our offerings are, and then we'll follow up with that with Mitch from Aflac.
Thank you, Matthew.
You're welcome.
So again, everyone, my name is Brian Riley. I'm the Vice President of Centric Benefits Consulting with the brokers on the employee benefits here. I'm going to speak a little fast just out of consideration for everyone's time. Understand that this is not a one-shot interaction between you and my office. If you have any questions or concerns, perhaps a question that you don't feel comfortable asking in a group setting such as this, please feel free to contact our office. First thing I'll bring to your attention again is the employee benefit website. hrconnection.com, username G&C Fabcon, GCF being uppercase. The username is case sensitive, so please keep that in mind. That will bring you to this, your employee benefit website. This is a living site, meaning that it will evolve and change over time, so please come back and visit it often. On this first page here, benefits overview, some employee communications. This too will change. Right now it's spring cleaning because that's the time of the year it is. Later on down the road, we'll be taking that down and putting up some important information about sunblock. I myself, being of Irish heritage, am pigmentally challenged, so I'll be reading that piece intently, and I would recommend that you do as well. On the right-hand side here, these are the phone numbers for the interaction with your carrier. So we have Oxford Health Plans, United Healthcare, one and the same. We have phone numbers there, so if you need a quick question answered, we always recommend try the 800 numbers first. So you'll find those on the right-hand side. Oxford United Healthcare will be handling your medical, prescription, dental, and vision benefits. Mitch Rucco is here with us today. One of his counterparts from Aflac, Elaine Gowdy, her contact information is listed here. You can call her if she's not available, then Mitch will be able to speak to you as well. Below that, Matthew introduced Beth Ann Donald. Now, as with this meeting, I do get pulled out of the office. We like to keep someone in the office in case there's ever any questions or concerns. Please feel free to contact Beth Ann Donald if you have any questions, or myself. On the left-hand side, you'll see your human resource contacts. So we have Linda's contact information, and below that, Matthew Smith. And also with the links, very often it's the case that the first link that you need is how to find a provider. So we have the links there on how to find a provider on the site. We'll talk about that a little bit more. How to find a dentist, how to find a vision provider, and then your member portal. I would recommend that everyone who signs up for the insurance, whether it's this insurance here offered by G&C Fabcon, or if you're waiving the insurance and enrolling in your spouse's or parents' insurance program, it behooves you to sign up for your carrier's website. That's where you're going to find all the information pertaining to your plan and any additional bells and whistles that your carrier may offer, such as wellness programs. At the top of the screen here, we have drop downs for the different benefits. We have your benefits, Aflac, which we'll cover in a moment, and then additional forms. We'll start with the benefits. So if I click on plan information, you'll see the medical plan offerings first up in the list. You can change that over here if you want to look at the dental and the vision, but we'll start with the medical. These are the medical options that you have available to you. Now, not to be overwhelmed, there are 3 different options to choose from. You can click on View Plan Details and look at the benefit items if you want a description of what the benefits are. So on this EPO plan, you see it's got an individual deductible of $600, family or employee with 1 or more dependents would be $1,200. Out-of-pocket maximum, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's the maximum that you'd have to reach into your pocket to pay for your care. Now, I know that we're scattered across the area. Out-of-pocket maximum has always, that protection has always been available to those of us in New Jersey. Other states did not have that protection. So in the heaven forbid scenario, they would continue to pay for their medical care out of their pocket all year long. With the Affordable Care Act, that maximum out-of-pocket ceiling, that protection was made available to everyone across the country. PCP is primary care physician office visit, $50 copayment on this plan. Specialist is the same, it would be a $50 copayment. You do not need a referral to see a specialist. However, I would recommend you at least give the primary care physician a try. I always use the example of ear infection because that hits home close to me. I can go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they'll give me a 10-day antibiotic and send me on my merry way. I could also do that at a primary care physician. So when available, use your primary care physician. Advanced radiology, well, let me start first. Laboratory expenses, x-ray expenses, there's no charge for those services. Advanced radiology at the hospital, 50% after the deductible. That means that you would pay your deductible first, and then whatever the fee is, the negotiated fee between the carrier and the provider, you would pay 50%, the carrier would pay 50%. Same holds true for outpatient. Now, an outpatient, just to differentiate them, an inpatient hospital facility, you're actually being admitted into the hospital overnight. Outpatient, you're going to the hospital, you're having the procedure done, and then you're being sent home the same day. That's the difference. Urgent care, $50 copayment, deductible does not apply for urgent care. Emergency room, however, it's a $100 visit, subject to the deductible, and then 50% after the deductible. So it would make sense for you if you find yourself in a situation where you really need to seek immediate care, find an urgent care facility in your area. The network that we're using here is United Healthcare's network. We'll talk more about that network in a bit, but you shouldn't have any problem finding a network provider on this plan. This plan also does have pediatric dental, pediatric meaning for children. So this is not going to help you if you are 19 years of age or older. This is for children, dependents of employees here at G&C Fabcon. Vision coverage, there's limited vision coverage through your medical plan. It's really just an exam. That's why we're also offering the vision benefits separately as its own policy. Prescription drugs, there's a 3-tier prescription drug benefit. First tier, generic drugs. I think we all know what generic drugs are. $10 copay. Preferred brand name would be a $50 copay, and then non-preferred brand would be a $75 copay. So really, what is the difference between preferred and non-preferred? As an example, if there are 4 drugs that are on the market and they all treat the same condition, they all treat allergies, not all 4 drugs may find their way onto an insurance carrier's preferred list. The carrier might have 1 or 2 of those drugs on their preferred list. If you use the drug that's on the brand name drug that's on the preferred list, you'll enjoy a lower copay. If you want to use the drug that is not on the preferred list, you can still do so, but it would be a $75 copay. Obviously, the goal here is to use generic when available because that's the least cost item out of your pocket. Dependent termination, I don't know if anyone listening has a dependent that meets this criteria, but under the Affordable Care Act, dependents can stay on your insurance up until the age of 26. It's important to know exactly when that person is removed from the plan. Some policies have it the day of the dependent's birthday, happy birthday, get off the plan. Some of them have it at the end of the month, some of them have it at the end of the year. This plan, the individual who turns 26 will be removed from the plan at the end of the month that they turn 26. That was a very quick overview of this plan. This plan is an in-network only plan, so you have to stay within the United Healthcare network. I'll click on plan documents here. If you wanted a more elaborate explanation of the benefits, again, under the Affordable Care Act, the summary benefits of coverage had to become available to all participants. It's much more elaborate than what I just went over with you a moment ago. But if you want to look at that document, it's available here. It's 11 pages, so you can understand why I didn't go through this line by line. It will back up everything that we went over and elaborate on things that I did not touch. Going back to the benefits here, there are 3 plan options. You may want to compare them side by side so that you can see the differences. You can compare 2 of them or all 3 of them. Click on the ones you want to compare, as I just did, and hit the compare button. Now you have all 3 benefit designs next to each other. So for each item, you can see what the plan covers for that item. I would like to spend a little bit of time talking about the health savings account option. A health savings account, as you can see here, right in the middle, has a high deductible. Your deductible on that EPO that we just talked about really only applies to your inpatient, outpatient hospital services and your emergency room. This is different. This deductible applies to everything. If you're not quite sure what a deductible is, reflect on your own auto insurance. Everyone has auto insurance. You have a deductible on your auto insurance, meaning before the insurance company pays anything, you have to first satisfy your deductible. Same holds true here. Everything, every doctor office visit, every prescription, every hospital visit goes towards your deductible. Now, out of the gate, you might say, Brian, that sounds horrible. Why would I sign up for that? $2,000 deductible for an individual, $4,000 for a family or employee with 1 or more dependents. The reason you might entertain that, and I'll also let you know, my family and I are on a health savings account option, so we elected this option. The reason that you may want to entertain that is because you might find that you don't use the insurance very much. You feel like you're paying premiums and they're just going into the insurance company's coffers. This gives you an opportunity to lower the premium that would be taken out of your paycheck. But you still have this hole. You still have this large deductible. On this plan only, out of the suite of offerings that are available here at G&C Fabcon, the health savings account option is the only one available that the IRS will allow you to save money in a health savings account for your medical expenses. This plan, not to be confused with a flexible spending account. Some of you might be familiar with that, and if you are, then you're familiar with the dreaded use it or lose it feature. With a health savings account, whatever money you save and do not spend during the year rolls into the next year, so on and so forth. The money that you put in can be deducted from your taxes. So if you put in $100 into the HSA account, because Uncle Sam didn't touch that $100, it'll feel like $75 out of your cash flow on average. So it gives you the ability to instead of paying higher premiums, to pay lower premiums and then use that savings to put into your HSA account. The HSA dollars that you save, of course, can be used for your medical expenses, your prescription expenses, but it can also be used for dental, for vision, for acupuncture. There's a myriad of things that you can do. You can use the money that is saved in that account, you can use for long-term care if you find that you are in a long-term care facility, or if you choose to buy a long-term care insurance policy, then you can use the money that you saved in your HSA for that premium as well. So it's a very dynamic tool that you can use, and it turns into kind of like a medical 401k in that the money that you save rolls from one year to the next without any taxes, and then you can spend it later on. As long as you take it out for an eligible expense, you'll never pay taxes on it, just like a 401k. If you take it out for something other than a medical expense, then you could be subject to taxes on it. The HSA is here. Now, similar to what we did for the EPO plan that we covered, we put some additional information on this. We have your SBC, your Summary of Benefits Coverage. We have another attachment here, what is a health savings account, so that you can read more about it, and also the limits for 2019. For the sake of time, I will continue on, make sure that Mitch has enough time to speak about Aflac. Dental, you have 2 dental options here that are available to you. I'm going to compare them both so that we can see them side by side. Now, the first plan, the DMO, very similar to an HMO on the medical side. DMO is a dental managed organization, so you have to stay in network here for these benefits. The PPO plan that you have, you can go in network or out of network. I will remind everyone that's considering going out of network that I'm not a huge fan of out of network benefits personally. As long as the provider participates in the network, they have to agree to accept what the insurance company feels is a usual, customary, and reasonable fee for the expenses. Outside of the network, no agreement has been made, so they can balance bill you. If the dentist out of network charges $500 for a service, but the insurance carrier feels that that service is $200, they can balance bill you the difference for that cost. Each plan has a deductible, $50 or $150, depending if you're single or employee with 1 or more dependents. That deductible does not apply to your annual visits, so please get those in, not just to take care of your teeth, but a dentist can diagnose other medical concerns when they have you in their chair. So do it for your teeth and do it to prevent anything else from growing into a problem down the road. On the PPO, these are your preventative service, your fluoride treatments, your cleanings, your sealants, your space maintainers. Those are all covered 100%, no deductible. When you have your visits done, you can have a visit once every 6 months. Your basic services on the DMO, you'll see that the percentages change based on what you're having done. On the PPO, it's 80%. You'll have your deductible, and then the insurance company will pay 80% of the provider's charges, while you be asked to pay 20% of the provider's charges. And then your major services on both plans are a 50-50 split. You'd be subject to your deductible, and then the insurance company would pay 50% of the cost, while you would pay 50% of the cost. Orthodontics, braces are not covered on either plan, and there's no waiting period on either of these plans to enroll. All right. I'll close that and I'll go to the voluntary vision. The vision plan here is voluntary, meaning that it is 100% employee paid. You can reach out to Matthew and Linda to talk about the costs. They have that all for you. Understand, I'd love to put the cost on the site, but with the Affordable Care Act, everything tends to be age banded. So it's a bit more complicated. You don't quite need an abacus to figure out what your cost would be, but it's a little more complicated than just posting them on the website. So contact Linda and Matthew if you have any questions about the cost. But the vision benefit itself, benefit frequency is once every 12 months for your exam. Comprehensive exams, you get 2 every 12 months. Lenses, frames, once every 12 months. That is a nice benefit to have. Most programs that I see have those lenses and frames once every 24 months, once every 2 years. You have them available to you once every 12 months. Copay for the exam is $10. Material copays, your contact lenses and your frames and what have you, $25. And then you have allowances for each. So you'll see that for a private practice provider, you have a $130 retail frame allowance. Retail chain provider is the same. And then the lens options, I'm not a glasses wearer, so those of you who are, this will mean more to you than me. but you can see the specifics about the benefits available to you there. The site is listed here, My UHC Vision, but we'll see that that's listed in other areas as well. And then out of network, you can go out of network, but again, remember what I said previously when it came to medical and dental. If you go out of network, you're not going to have as much support from the insurance company as you would if you stayed in the network. Again, this is a large network that we made available to you, so you shouldn't have any problem finding a provider. The last benefit here is the life, AD&D, accidental death and dismemberment. It's always a little morbid when we're talking about life insurance, but it is an important benefit to have. This life insurance benefit here through G&C Fabcon would pay you $10,000, heaven forbid you passed away. The accidental death and dismemberment benefit would pay you a portion of your death benefit, heaven forbid you lost a finger, lost the use of one of your eyes. Yeah, people in the room are smiling at me. It is a morbid conversation, but it is an important benefit to have, and that's available to you here at G&C Fabcon. That was a quick review of the benefits. I'm going to move on to AFLAC now so that they have enough of an opportunity to talk about their product offerings. There's an AFLAC tab on the site. Those of you who looked at the email will see that this is very similar to what you received in the email in advance of this meeting. And with that, Mitch, which benefit would you like to start with?
Okay, well, again, I'm Mitch Rucco. I'm the AFLAC rep here, and I just want to go over some basics of AFLAC. AFLAC is unlike any other insurance that you probably have. It pays doctors, pays hospitals, pays pharmacies. AFLAC, if anything should happen to you or a member of your family who's covered, pays you cash direct. Okay, they can mail you a check, they can direct deposit, and the money goes directly into your account for you to use as you see fit, and they pay their claims quickly. If you file the claim online, you'll usually have your money within a day or two in 95% of the cases. So it's cash for you to do as you see fit, and you know, it's money to help you cover your out-of-pocket expenses. As Brian was explaining, going over the benefits, there are some substantial deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses that can run into 5 figures. And that's where AFLAC steps in. There are 4 AFLAC policies that are being made available to the employees. I'm going to go through them one at a time pretty quickly because we don't have a lot of time. The first thing is the short-term disability. Most states in the U.S. do not have state-sponsored short-term disability. New Jersey is one of only 5 states that do. And what short-term disability offers you is if you are unable to work because of an off-the-job accident or injury or any kind of medical reason, including going out on on maternity leave for the young ladies, AFLAC will pay you cash after you've been out of work for what we call the elimination period, which is typically 0 days for an accident, 14 days for an illness or a maternity leave. And AFLAC will pay you that cash, your monthly benefit, which you can choose the amount dependent upon what your salary is. And AFLAC will pay you that amount until you return to work, or up to 6 months, whichever comes first. And for maternity leave, there is a set period. And essentially what you have is a tax-free income where you would have nothing in most states, New Jersey being one of the few, along with Massachusetts and New York and California, that do have some sort of state disability. And in those states, the disability would stack on top of the state disability you would get. So basically, this is paycheck insurance, okay? The second thing that we have to offer is accident insurance, which is by far the most popular item that AFLAC has to offer. The accident insurance, now the benefits do vary by state and the cost varies by state. So I'm just going to give you a general overview. But if you or any member of your family who was covered or involved in any kind of an accident, 24/7, on the job, off the job, at school, whatever the case may be, and seek medical treatment, Aflac will pay you cash starting at, in most places, at $120 for a basic doctor's visit or urgent care visit, and in most states, starting at $170 for the emergency room. The idea being to help cover your deductibles, your co-pays, to put some cash in your pocket. In addition, the policy will pay you for follow-up doctor visits. If you need x-rays, an ambulance, an MRI, a CAT scan, physical therapy, if you're hospitalized, they'll pay you a large sum of cash, etc. The individual benefits are available to you. We can get that information out to you. Very low cost. On average, this policy costs about $6 a week, okay, for an individual, and about $15 a week, less than that, about $12 a week for a two-parent family, you, your spouse, and your children. Very low cost, and it helps fill in the gap for these deductibles and co-pays that can end up costing you quite a bit of money. All right, moving on to the cancer policy.
What about the 1 day?
Oh, 1 day pay. Well, I touched on that briefly.
Okay.
As I said, Brian just brought it to my attention. As I said before, Aflac pays their claims very quickly. If you file your claim online and upload the proof of services, meaning the receipt from the urgent care, doctor's office, or whatever, in most cases, Aflac will have that money in your bank account the next day, okay, very quickly. I just filed an accident claim the other day, and the money was in my bank account this morning. I actually filed it over the weekend, so, because my wife had a drawer fall on her foot, as ridiculous as that sounds, and we went to the urgent care center on Saturday. So I just took advantage of the accident policy myself. What is an accident? An accident is anything that a prudent person would seek medical care or consultation for. Okay, it could be a bee sting, it could be a car accident, it could be a slip and fall, it could be a banging your head and getting checked out for a concussion, whatever, it's anything. All right, moving on to the cancer policy. We all know that cancer is one of the things that a lot of people worry about, and rightfully so. Statistics prove that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women at some point in their life will be diagnosed with cancer. And based upon the information presented previously, the out-of-pocket costs can be quite high. I mean, the maximum out-of-pocket on some of the plans was approaching $15,000. So what the Aflac cancer policy does is it puts cash in your pocket upon diagnosis of cancer, for second opinions, for an NCI evaluation, for unlimited coverage for chemo, for radiation, for hospitalization, for surgery, bone marrow transplant coverage, etc. Any kind of treatment you're going to receive for the cancer, all the way up to and including home health care and hospice care. It's actually, the company of Aflac was founded with the cancer product. Okay, that was our founding product over 60 years ago. And it's the most important thing, I believe, that I sell. Okay, if you have a history of cancer in your family, if you were a smoker, if anything along those lines, I think the cancer policy is extremely important to consider. There is an add-on that goes with the cancer policy that covers things such as heart attack, stroke, coronary bypass, end-stage renal failure, and a number of other diseases. Again, if you have a history of heart disease in your family, a smoker, anything like that, please, please, please consider this Aflac policy. It could make a huge difference. God forbid you or a member of your family is diagnosed somewhere down the line. And one of the nice things about the cancer policy and the accident policy is they both have a wellness benefit in most states. Meaning that once a year when you go for any kind of a checkup for the accident policy and for any kind of cancer screening for the cancer policy, Aflac will pay you up to, depending on the policy in the state, up to $100 just for getting checked out. Typically with the accident policy, it's $60 once per year, just for getting checked out. All right. The last thing I want to touch upon this morning is the hospital policy. Now, the hospital policy varies wildly among states. In New Jersey, it's the most restrictive, and in New Jersey, If you're admitted to the hospital for any reason, the policy will pay you $1,000 for the first day you're admitted, plus $50 for each additional day up to a month. And it is by far the most restrictive hospital plan in the country. Just for example, in New York and Pennsylvania, close by states that I'm familiar with, their policies can cover you for a higher amount. They can cover you for doctor's visits. They can cover you if you need an X-ray or an MRI, etc. Okay? Again, very important policies. I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one, offline, if you have any interest or any questions about any of these policies. And I know my phone number was not up on the graphic. I'm going to see if Brian can get that updated. But if any of you are taking notes, my name is Mitch Rucco, and my direct line is 732-672-5100. 732-672-5100. Elaine, who Brian had listed, that she's actually my district manager. And if you call her, she's probably just going to push you onto me anyway. So just give me a call directly, and we'll see if we can get this graphic updated with my information. I want to thank everyone for their time and attention, and hand it back to Brian.
We'll have the website updated with contact information. No worries.
Perfect.
The last tab are a series of various forms, claim forms, just in case you do see. You won't need a claim form if you stay inside the network, but if you do see a doctor outside of the network, depending on his or her agreement with filing paperwork for you, claim forms are available if you need to file the information yourself. Enrollment change forms. So obviously, if you're not enrolled in the plan, you would use the forms here. If you are already enrolled in the plans, but you want to make a change, this is your opportunity to do so. If you want to move from the EPO plan to HSA, for example, fill out the enrollment form here to do so. Dental and vision enrollment forms are all on, that information is captured on one form. You have the HSA application. Now this HSA application is to use United Healthcare's partner for the actual dollars, actual money that you're going to save in your health savings account. You do not have to use their partner. You can simply do this at your own bank. Walk into your bank, ask them if they administer health savings accounts. Most likely they do. And then if you want to open up the HSA account there, you can do so. They'll ask you to prove that you are enrolled in an eligible plan. The IRS looks at that ability to save that money pre-tax as a generous offering. So they mandate that you can only be enrolled in that high deductible plan to save that money on a pre-tax basis. So you can use United Healthcare's preferred partner, or you can set that up at your own bank. If you are waiving the insurance, whatever the reason, it might be because you are enrolled under a parent or a spouse, whatever the reason, please fill out this waiver form. We need that back. Part of the Affordable Care Act is the mandates that everyone is offered insurance. So the only way that we can show that the insurance was offered, and if it was declined, is by you filling out that brief waiver form so that we can keep that on file. That's for your benefit as much as it's for G&C Fabcon. I would like to point out on the health savings account, just in case anyone's wondering. So I mentioned that the IRS wants, if you're going to enroll in the HSA, it can be the only insurance that you have. So you can't enroll in your medical insurance here with G&C Fabcon on the HSA, but also have the insurance through your spouse or parent. The other benefits offered by AFLAC, the accident plan, the hospital plan, the cancer plan, those are still okay to sign up for. So even though you enrolled in an HSA, you can still sign up for those additional plans. You can still save the money in your account while also having support of AFLAC. If you do find yourself in the hospital, you can still get that $100 benefit. So you can, it's a great way to protect yourself if you do find yourself in a situation where you're subject to that deductible.
Enrollment.
Phone enrollment for Aflac. I've got Elaine's information on the site, and I can add yours as well. Is there a separate phone number that you'd like us?
No, you can contact me on my phone. For Aflac enrollment, if you're interested in that, the enrollment, there are no forms for that. That's all done on a phone call. I basically get on the phone with you, take all your information, you get a text message, you approve everything and send it back to me. Okay, but there are no paper forms to fill out or electronic forms.
That's very green of you. Thank you. All right, so how to find a provider. I'm not sure how much time we have available to us, but on this, what I did here under benefits, more UHC Oxford information, you'll find a link on how to find a participating provider and the portal itself. So I'll click on this just so that you can see it. Bear with me one moment while it opens up. So by clicking on that link there, close that and enlarge this for you. These are instructions on how to find a provider under your benefits. I'm not going to read through them verbatim, but this assistance is here for you. Okay? All right, I'm going to look back onto the screen and see if anyone chimed in with any questions. Actually, tell you what, I'll unmute the microphones. All right. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like us to cover before we end the session?
No.
I think that was a no or an
Yeah, no.
All right, thank you. Matthew, Linda, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
So I think to conclude this session, first of all, I want to thank Brian coming out and also Mitch. Benefits are extremely important to every single employee in the company. And I know sometimes, you know, life gets in the way, you don't have the time, and you think, well, okay, it's a benefit meeting and this and that. But it's so critical, whether you're a single person or you have a family, that you really carve out some time and spend those valuable minutes and really looking at all the different types of plans that the organization has. I strongly recommend doing that. Whether it's the health portion, there's 3 plans that was discussed by Brian today. There's no plan there that you shouldn't say, well, it doesn't fit me. Okay, so look at those options in regards to the health. Also, in regards to the HSA, as Brian was mentioning, it fits a lot of people. So look at the benefits of what the HSA has to offer. And in regards to some of the other things that we've added on, besides the dental 2 options that we had last year, so forth, the voluntary vision is a nice, solid plan. Please look at that, see if it fits you or your family members. In regards to the life, the A&D, G&C pays for that. Okay, that's in your pocket if God forbid something happens. Aflac, I'm a big proponent of, because it really it's a nominal fee, but in regards to the accident plan, the hospitalization indemnity, short-term disability, the cancer plan, it's solid. I would highly recommend considering that. And last but not least, in regards to G&C working closely with Brian and Centric, he put together our G&C benefits HR connection site. It's very simplistic, right to the point. All the forms you can print out if you want to kind of look at each of the plans, the pros, the cons, and how it fits your particular situation is a good thing. So, and I'm very happy that Centric has gone well beyond the call of duty for this, and we look forward not only working with them closely and the folks from Aflac, but also if there's any questions that anyone has, feel free at any time to call myself or Linda here at G&C. And if we need to kind of escalate to other areas, both Brian and Mitch, and speaking for Elaine from AFLAC, they're very friendly and they'll answer questions as they come. No question is a dumb question, okay? So run it by any one of us. Feel comfortable in doing so. Other than that, I want to thank Brian for coming out. Mitch, Linda, any last minute questions you have?
I would just like to add that this is your annual time to enroll. If you do not enroll now, you have to wait until next April for the May 1st renewal. So please strongly consider it. Is that also true with AFLAC, or is that?
Yes, yes.
So for all the plans discussed today, it's an annual enrollment unless you have a qualifying event that allows you to enroll during the year. Some of the qualifying events could be.
Yeah, I'll elaborate on the qualifying event. So if you waive the insurance now, or you don't enroll at this time, a qualifying event is a life-changing event. So you move, that's a life-changing event. You have a child, that is certainly a life-changing event. You get married, life-changing event. Of course, if you waive the insurance because you enrolled in your spouse's insurance or your parents' insurance, and then you lose that coverage, you either age out of the plan at the age of 26, like we talked about, or heaven forbid, you simply lose access to that coverage because your spouse loses employment or switches jobs. Those are all qualifying life-changing events. You can use those opportunities to enroll off anniversary, but I will stress that the insurance carriers under the Affordable Care Act are very strict on their timing. You have 30 days, 30. You have 30 days from a qualifying event to enroll or disenroll from this insurance here. That is not United Healthcare's rule. That's not G&C Fabcon's rule. It's certainly not my rule. That is an offshoot of the Affordable Care Act. You have 30 days from a qualifying event to enroll. So that means that your enrollment form needs to be filled out, your selection needs to be made, and that paperwork needs to be in the insurance company's hands within 30 days of the qualifying event. I remind people that if you're going on a long honeymoon, fill out the paperwork before you leave. If you are having a child, fill out the paperwork as best as you can before you leave, because especially that first child is zombie land, and you're not going to have your senses about you to make any, to fill out any paperwork. When I welcomed my daughters into the world, I had filled out the paperwork in advance, so that all I had to do was insert the date of birth and sign it and send it off. We knew the name ahead of time. We knew the gender. So do not wait for the Social Security number for your child to enroll your child. That will follow. That is understandable, that you're not going to have a Social Security number well beyond 30 days from birth.
Another divorce. If you're going through separation agreement with a spouse or so forth, and a divorce is coming around the corner, let me know, let Linda and I know. That falls under that category also. It's life-changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that divorce in mind, all of you should have enrolled in the life insurance here in G&C. Update your beneficiary form. Take this opportunity to remind yourself to do that. You may have an ex-spouse. I've seen it before. An ex-spouse is listed as the beneficiary. That will not make the current spouse happy in any way, shape, or form. A child, you may want to update it with the child as the beneficiary, but take this opportunity to remind yourself of that as well. Last thing about updating information, if you've moved, we do not know. So the insurance company needs to be told about an address change only so that all of the important information they want to send you finds its way to your home. So if you did move and change addresses, fill out that form, just simply changing your address so we can make sure that the insurance company information is up to date.
That's basically it. So look over the plans, Call us if you need us. Remember, if you're not going to use the plan, it's critical because you're going to get a phone call from me that if you're declining the benefit, you must sign that waiver and send it to either myself or Linda. That is required by law. That's all. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Thank you.